Qualified, professional, and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
Did you know that Uganda is the top consumer of alcohol on the African continent and ranks number 8 on the global scale? Yes, Uganda is definitely leaving its footprint when it comes to substance use such as alcohol or tobacco. But you might wonder, what is driving this thing of alcohol abuse or substance abuse? With me in studio are two brilliant doctors who are specialists in the field of substance abuse. They're here to tell us more about why Uganda is so hooked to her bottle. On my immediate right is Dr. Diana Businje, a specialist in neurobiology. So this is a field of medicine that deals with studying the brain and how it works. So she's going to help us understand why people love alcohol at the level of the brain work, and help us decipher some of those common things we see, such as addiction or substance abuse. On her right is Dr. Irimaso Hillary, a psychiatrist with Dimfna Medical Center, who also specializes in substance abuse and is going to give us insight on how we can overcome this major problem in Uganda. So most welcome to the shows, doctors.
Thank you.
Yes. So I'm your host for the evening, Dr. Darius Sowachi. So without wasting much time, let's quickly go into discussing this issue of substance abuse. Why is it such a big problem in Uganda? Maybe I'll start with you, Dr. Hillary. First of all, people want to know, when do you say someone is abusing a substance?
Thank you very much, Dr. Darius. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about this topic of substance abuse. Mm-hmm. It is a wide topic and it's a big problem in our society. As so many of our people, so many of our youth are going into this habit of substance abuse. Mm-hmm. There is what we call use and abuse. And then we'll go to things like dependence or addiction that people use. Use is when you use this substance on maybe like social scale. Okay. But abuse, the term abuse applies to when an individual is using the substances and they are causing harm to that person or the community or even the family. That's when we term it as abuse. Basically, harmful use.
Harm to the person who is drinking or taking the substance, and harm to the people around them.
That's right.
So even if someone takes 20 bottles of of a very potent drink such as a gin, and they don't harm anyone, would you say that is not abuse?
There is a harm to self.
Okay, harm to self.
Harm to others. Mm-hmm. And basically harm to self and others.
Okay, harm to self and harm to others.
Yes.
So this statistic of Uganda ranking as the 8th in the world, do they relate to abuse or just use?
It is those statistics you read are applied to consumption.
Consumption. So it kind of encompasses both.
Yeah, exactly.
Use and abuse.
Yes.
But I'm sure abuse is coming up as a big problem. Dr. Diana, you are an expert in a very interesting field of medicine. You're studying the brain and how it works. But in your experience, I'm sure you've seen lots of people who have issues with substance abuse. What are the common substances people commonly abuse?
I would say alcohol is right up there. Mm-hmm. And lots of people do smoke, so nicotine. Okay. Some people use prescription drugs like codeine, morphine, and there are also a lot of other drugs, including methamphetamine, LSD, depending on where you live really and how easily you can access the substance. Okay. and also how you can afford it as well.
So you mainly based abroad. So how is the picture abroad compared to here in Uganda? Are the substances people abuse here similar to what is abused abroad?
I would say there's a huge contrast actually. There's a lot more out there compared to what's available here. And I would say depends on, how much money you've got. Some of them are pretty expensive.
Okay.
Some of them are quite cheap and readily available. So I would say alcohol, nicotine, mainly over here, and out there would be heroin, cocaine,
Okay.
and also because they're quite complex to make.
So lots of the illicit drugs which are happening abroad. Dr. Hilary, is this the same picture as Uganda? Because she's saying they see lots of alcohol, nicotine, illicit drugs like heroin. Is it the same as in Uganda?
Yes, the substances commonly abused are like universal.
They are universal.
Yes,
Like they cut
but
across.
exactly. But like she said, the availability and accessibility plays a huge role. For example, here, alcohol consumption is readily available. These are the things we use in functions, culture accepts it, society accepts it, and these are the drinks we brew in our houses, and they are quite available and common to everyone.
So highly even commercial.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. We have cannabis, which is quite common here.
Okay.
Probably as common as most of the Western countries, because you hear people growing it in gardens. There's an area in Uganda here that is very well known for growing cannabis. And it is quite affordable to many young people, especially school-going children, high school students, who don't have a lot of money for things like opioids, who find alcohol maybe not as stimulating as cannabis. So you find that it is quite common, especially in our environment.
Especially in the young people.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be interested in knowing why the young people are particularly interested in these substances such as cannabis. So, Dr. Diana, given you're our expert in brain science, so why do people get hooked to these substances? Why is it so hard when someone starts, drinking and becomes a pattern, they can't get off it? What goes on in the brain?
Sure. I'll just start with a short scenario. So let's say you have a 40-year-old man who's been drinking for about 10 years. And because of the drinking, he's lost his family, he's lost his job, and he's also, suffering from complications from the drinking, and he's probably using other substances. So, and the big question is, why are they not stopping? Why can't they stop?
It has caused problems to them. It has ruined the family. Maybe they've gone out of employment. So what's happening in the brain?
Exactly. So there's a lot of changes that do occur in the brain, and our brains have evolved. So we've got what we call the midbrain, and in lay terms, that is the survival brain. This is the brain that helps us survive, really. Let's say you were stuck in a desert somewhere and you didn't have any water and your organs are shutting down on perhaps the 7th day, and someone came around and said, I will give you this bottle of water, but I will take everything that you own. In that case, you're not thinking of anything else, you just want to survive. And this is the area that these substances hijack and sort of make them realize that they need the substances to survive and yet they don't actually.
So are these what they call the pleasure centers?
Yes.
They are sometimes called pleasure centers.
Absolutely.
That's why it's found in the midbrain.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's a release of a chemical called dopamine, which is important for all of us. We all want to be happy, and we all do things that make us happy. So let's say for you, Darius, what makes you happy?
Lots of things.
Okay.
Yes. So you mean when I'm happy, a lot of dopamine is going in the system?
Well, a good amount.
A good amount.
Yeah.
So what these substances like increase the dopamine?
Excessively.
Excessively.
Yes.
And what does that dopamine do exactly?
Well, it just gives them that extreme high that they're looking for.
Okay.
But then in the long run, if they continue to use the substances, it does not cut the mustard anymore. It does not make them happy anymore.
Okay.
And
So
you'll
they
find
just
that
want to keep increasing and
yes,
increasing
yeah,
and increasing.
yeah.
Okay, so I think we've gotten a sense of why it's very difficult to get off substance abuse if you are addicted to a substance because of the release of a brain chemical called dopamine. That's basically, in simple terms, your pleasure hormone. So it's a hormone that gives you the feeling of happiness, of pleasure, and the likes. So that is the main basis behind substance abuse. So after the break, we'll come back to know more about the dangers of substance abuse. What does it do to your body? On top of giving you this excessive pleasure, what does it have detrimental effects on the long run? We'll be right back shortly after the break.
You are watching the Doctalk Show.